Captain, early reviews are in.
Report, Mr. Spock. Yellow alert! Shields up!
The JJ haters appear to have subsided.
Stand down! Yellow alert. Keep the shields up!
One moment, Captain. One critic named Fred Archer says all things JJ are crap.
Fire all photon torpedoes on Fred.
Captain, is it logical to give one troll so much power?
Spock, remember the Peters Accord of 2016?
All too well, Captain.
Hang on to your popcorn, people. You just joined Super Geeks. All right. I never know when to say all right because I love the music, and I know you do too, Anthony, but it's like you got to pick the right time to make it stop because that music's so cool.
Just be aware of the rhythm.
Yeah,
that's a good point. My name is George. I'm your host, Super Geeks. You can find me on Twitter at Chooch99A. This should be an interesting episode. Episode 22 of Super Geeks. 22 weeks ago, I had an idea, and the squirrel didn't make me go, I'm going to do something different. So that was good. It's an ADD joke, by the way. So let me introduce my hosts. I got Anthony here. Where can people find you?
you can follow me on Twitter at Anthony Battles.
Awesome. And what about you, Ross?
You can find me at Live Love Play on iliveloveplay.com, Twitter, and Facebook. Super Geeks is a Live Love Play podcast.
It is. And joining us...
Which is also part of the Busy Little Beaver production family.
Which is associated with that umbrella of Busy Little Beaver, which is our, I want to say, mother show.
Parent organization.
Parent organization. Yeah, there you go. Speaking of which, Ceridium, Michael Medeiros, a friend of mine, friend of ours, is joining us today in a rare visit. And he is here today. He is from the GNT show. He does Starfinder with me. He does other shows with us. He's an incredible audio engineer and a good web host. If you want to hire him, he'll tell you how to find him. Where can people find you, Michael?
On the internet. No, let's see. I am Ceridium STO on Twitter and on Facebook. I'm Ceridium. Yeah, something like that. And, in relation to what you guys said earlier, Rhythm is a dancer.
Oh. Interesting. Makes sense, I guess. Rhythm is a dancer. Is that like a name of a dancer for who?
It's a song lyric based on what you were talking about, Rhythm, earlier.
Oh. See, I'm so out of touch.
I was holding that back all this time.
Oh, see, the latest I'm 45 years old, and the latest I've gotten in touch with the music industry is watching Gwen Stefani and her boyfriend, Blake, whatever his name is, the country guy, get together on The Voice. So I'm a little behind.
It's a song from the 80s.
I knew that.
Get with it, George.
I know. Music is not my strength. I like it, but it's not my strength. Anyways, luckily this is Super Geeks, not The Voice. Anyways, and with us today that I'm going to be interviewing in a few minutes after we talk about a couple of subjects is a friend of mine that I've known for like at least 3 years now. It could be more. At least 3 years now. Her name is Janice Cantano Kay. I'm sorry if I mispronounced her name. But she is the head editor of sciencefiction.com, which is a big deal. She is familiar with me and Michael because it let us publish some stuff. Janice, how are you doing?
Hey, George. Thank you so much for letting me be on your podcast.
Thank you for joining us. It's more of a privilege to have you agree to come on than for me to ask. Honestly. Janice, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me at sciencefiction.com Twitter is science fiction, and my own Twitter is Janice last name Kay. With the underscore.
Isn't it funny how generic the name of the site is, but yet nobody took it before your bosses grabbed that domain name?
It is utterly amazing. The story of how this name even came to be is incredible, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later.
Oh, see, this is organically happening. I didn't even think about that, but we'll talk about that for sure. Bookmark that for sure. So, yeah, Janice is joining us today. Some of our other hosts, like I always told people from the beginning of Super Geeks, sometimes hosts can be available, sometimes they don't, because we do this weekly, and not everybody's always able to make it on the same day. It's not like I can pay them, so it's all of everybody's free time. So
much to my chagrin last week.
Yeah, exactly. Ross,
wait, I'm not getting paid. What? Wait.
The $5. We'll talk about that later.
You're gonna get great exposure from this.
Okay.
No, I promised her $5.
Oh,
guys, this NDA. Hello, Janice. I told you about the $5, but it was an NDA. You just blew it.
Oh man.
I know, right? So, Janice, real quick. No. You know what? I'm going to save it for later. I'm trying to pace myself. So, we have a couple of things I want to talk about before we get into talking to you, which is going to be, yeah. So, the CW dropped some news. So, pretty much from the majority, I think everybody here, yeah. As far as I know, everybody here watches The Flash, right? We're in the summer hiatus. And we're waiting for season 3. I know that Anthony, Ross, and I know that you, Mike, watch and Janice watch The Flash. You do, Janice, because you post about it. So you guys all watch it. I'm very excited because everybody's been very certain that Wally West from the show would become Kid Flash. Now, of course, they never went there so far as season 2. But they just revealed him in his costume, which is exactly to the comics about Kid Flash, who was a member of the Teen Titans, who later became the Flash when Barry Allen died in the DC continuity. He looks great. The costume looks awesome. I'm excited. What do you guys think? Anybody that wants to speak up first?
The costume looks pretty faithful to the source material, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. Janice, what do you think? You've been watching The Flash, right?
Oh yeah, I love the show. I love the costume. The one thing that gets me though is I'm thinking that Kid Flash is not going to show up in any of the DC cinematic universe.
No.
Yeah, because they've been wanting to kill off everybody that they want to use in the Cineverse on the TV shows.
Well, that's a subject that could be like a whole episode in itself. I agree. I know what you're trying to say though. But as far as the CW universe goes, the Kid Flash character. So Wally West, he was the Flash on Justice League Unlimited, which is, in my opinion, actually that's funny because that's where we got the theme music from. It was sort of a rip somebody did, a remix. It was a remix.
Complete your thought, George.
Yeah, it was a remix of. Thank you.
The other thought.
Ross is my squirrel controller, just to let you know. Anyways,
if I let him go unchecked for too long, he'll just spiral into a bunch of nonsense, and next thing you know, we'll be talking about actual squirrels.
Yeah, Mike knows that too. Anyways, so Kid Flash is a character who, in the Justice League Unlimited, Wally West was the kid. He became Kid Flash in the comics, and then later became the Flash. Now, in the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, where we ripped a parody sort of soundtrack for Super Geeks, he was the Flash from that cartoon. Now, they obviously used Barry Allen, obviously, for the TV show, and they're using him for the movies. But the character of Wally West was always a white redhead. Now, in recent continuity, they made him an Afro-American, which is fine. There's no problem with that. DC Rebirth just did a thing where they made him his cousin. So there's two Wally Wests.
User in your
so
channel
they always
is
had,
recording.
Hey, son. Thank you for joining us. So Wally West has always been part of the Flash, and the costume looks true to the show. So I'm very happy. I'm excited. My only hope is that they, obviously with the first episode being announced as Flashpoint, he isn't just a Flash from this altered timeline that Barry creates. You know what I'm saying? And that it carries it forward when they fix the timeline.
We'll see.
We will. Janice, have you had anybody that in your resources of people that you know tell you anything?
No, not yet. I'm as curious as to how they're going to introduce him. Again, I would love to see him like in the normal universe and not some alternate timeline.
I'm hoping he carries over from both whatever happens in Paradox to when they fix the timeline, because obviously people who know the show and know the comic story are aware of what's about to happen.
Flashpoint.
Yes, exactly. They're going to make it their way, obviously, for the CW, but obviously there's going to be some liberties, right? So they're gonna find their own way. But no matter what happens, it's an alternate timeline. So hopefully, whatever carries over, he stays Kid Flash, and what's her face becomes Jesse Quick. You know,
Well,
Obviously, they're
ahead.
not going to have the scale to show the full-on Atlantean versus Themysciran war. But all I got to say with that is Neptunus Rex!
I want to see Thomas Wayne as Batman. What were you going to say, Janice?
I was going to say, we don't know that. Maybe Barry doesn't become the Flash because he saved his mom. Spoilers, sorry, folks. And then
We don't care about spoilers at this point.
Well, that was an aspect of the original Flashpoint. He lost his powers after he changed the timeline.
Yep, and Thomas Wayne had to help him get him back.
Twice.
So this could not be like, this could actually be the real, like, now I feel like I'm talking Back to the Future type of stuff.
Oh, geez, there's so many possibilities.
And that's one thing I really loved about Flashpoint. It introduced an idea that I've never seen before in any kind of time-altering story. That other things can change in addition to just the immediate cause and effect. That traveling through time causes a ripple that changes things.
Well, that's the thing about the Flash, is it does time travel paradoxes very intelligently. CW really has proven that they can handle the material. I think Star Trek, and when this new Star Trek comes out, I really hope that they pay attention to what they've done. You know what I'm saying? Because
I
they've
certainly
done
hope
an
so.
amazing, because they've done an amazing job on the CW of showing the pros and cons and how you handle the time travel twists. You know what I mean? Doctor Who. Well, you know what? The CW producers are big fans of Doctor Who, and they even said that's why they hired the dude that played Rory there, Arthur Darvill, to play Rip Hunter, because they were huge fans of Doctor Who. So they wanted him for Legends of Tomorrow. So I'm hoping
Which
that
is
if they
definitely
are,
has a Doctor Who feel to it.
Oh God! Well, they unapologetically admit that, and which I like. If you're gonna do something, if you pay homage, you admit it. If you rip, you don't. Alec Peters.
Galaxy
Anyways.
Quest definitely acknowledged its source.
Yeah, exactly. What I'm trying to say though is that if you embrace, or if you're a fan of something, and you're taking inspiration from it for your show, if you admit it, if you own it, the fans respect you. But when you don't and you just claim, oh, it was a coincidence, Alec Peters, then you get into it was ripped off kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Let's
Definitely
not
a lot
talk
of-
about that. Mr. Henman isn't here.
He might show up in the middle of the show. He did tell me that, so I'm just letting you know.
We can talk about that then.
All right. And by the way, son, thank you for joining us. Sunciel, this is Janice, our guest. Janice
Hello.
is the head editor of sciencefiction.com. This is Sunciel. She's a good friend of the show and a friend of me and Ross's and Anthony's. Son, where can people find you on social media?
Facebook.com/SunsealFan.
And I gotta say, that's the quickest forming friendship I've had in a while. Thank you, Janice.
Thank you, guys.
Would you guys just hook up on Facebook?
This is the first time I met her, George.
I know, I was joking.
Anyway, what's next?
All right, so having talked about Kid Flash, Janice. So let's get into talking about you, my friend. So you are the head editor. You just told me earlier that I had to edit my post I made on Facebook because at first I thought you were just the head writer, but you got a recent promotion apparently, and I talked to you earlier, and I wasn't even aware of that.
Let her talk about it.
Yes. So Janice, start from the beginning. Tell us about your origins in the geek world and what's going on.
Well, I actually was a closet geek, believe it or not. I graduated from UCLA with a kinesiology degree and didn't even think of journalism as a career choice. And I saw a tweet from sciencefiction.com that says they wanted someone to review Torchwood, believe it or not. And I love Torchwood. I'm like, how hard can it be to just recap a show? It's got to, you just regurgitate what you watch. So I applied. They asked me to turn something in. I was not hired for that. Somebody else actually got it before me. But they did ask me to consider writing news for them. And my very first article was to wish Patrick Stewart a happy birthday.
So this is an anniversary for you.
Yeah, she posted about that, yeah. When he was
on.
71, right?
Yeah, about 5 years ago. So
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Definitely.
After that, I just kind of wrote for them. It was just something new for me, and it opened me up to not be afraid of showing my geek flag. So I'm kind of happy for this site. It's done a lot for me.
It's awesome.
Well,
Awesome.
you know the saying, let your geek flag fly.
Very
wait, that's
happy
not
that
it?
you have found.
It's not it? What?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Very happy you found something that you can do and enjoy.
In fact, it's so weird because I never really thought I was a geek. I just thought it was like, I like this stuff, and I didn't know this stuff had a name. So it's kind of neat to be able to talk to everybody about it. And I just feel like I've come out.
Oh my. See the joke I did there? Anyways, come on, that was a bad joke. Everybody, you gotta roll your eyes. Anyways,
I don't know about coming out, but certainly Yellow Brick Road somewhere there.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's very true. Now, Janice, I'm going to put you on the spot because I did it on Facebook, and you know what I'm going to be talking about. Let's talk about your son, Evan.
Go ahead, ask away.
I'm not going to ask. I'm going to tell everybody, and then you can respond. Her son was the stunt double for Spock in 2009's JJ film. That's a big deal. I didn't even know that until earlier, about 2 hours ago, when I was talking to her. So, yeah.
So when he slides down that little quiz bowl, that's him?
Yep, that's him. I actually, it was really funny because I was at the press junket for Star Trek Beyond today, and J.J. Abrams was there. And I actually, finally, after 7 years, got to thank him helping me pay for my son's education.
That's wonderful.
For college, right?
Yeah, for college.
Yeah, didn't you tell him he's 18 now?
Yeah, he's 18 now.
Right, so when he did the role as the double for Spock, and he went down there and beat the shit out of this kid in the bowl in the JJ film, how old was he?
He was about 10. He was about 10.
Jesus Christ, it tells you how old this new franchise is, right?
This was like the very first film, and it was so cool because no one knew if it was how good it was gonna be.
Right.
And so there was so much secrecy about the whole thing. He had to go from the dressing room to the stage in a black overcoat. And we went into like golf carts that were covered. The sides were covered. So you couldn't see, only the driver knew where you were going. So you had no way to know how to get back to the dressing room unless they drove you back.
Tell the story you told me earlier about the other kids with the eyebrows being shaved.
Well, as you can see in the pictures, Spock has a definite look, and they actually shave off half his eyebrows to give that arch look of a Vulcan. And the older guy, that I think it was the one that he actually had to beat up on screen, freaked out about having his hair cut in a bowl and to have his eyebrows shaved, that he actually almost walked off the set because he refused to have his eyebrows shaved.
Wow.
It's hilarious.
But now for the rest of his life, your son can say, hey, I was Spock.
So they paid us. So I'm just curious. You don't have to give any details, obviously, because I'm sure a lot of it's confidential. But you keep saying thank you, JJ, for your education, for the education payment, right? I'm paraphrasing. So what that suggests is that a stunt double for a movie can make enough to pretty much be okay for a few years, right?
Yeah, they get paid. I mean, depending on how long you've been in there, and as normal the more experience. But you start off as scale, and you can start off as going into SAG right away too.
Was your son a fan of Star Trek before he even did that, or did you guys kind of? I'm not trying to get personal, but I'm just really curious. So if I had a child his age and they had an opening for a casting call, so to speak, for a role, and I don't know how you guys even heard about it. Did they say it's for young Spock? I have a funny feeling they didn't say it like that. How did you guys even hear about that?
He actually did another stunt job as the stunt double for the drug lord, the little drug lord in Tropic Thunder.
Oh, right. Okay.
And the person who was involved with that also, it was his teacher, actually, the school teacher on that set, also then worked on Star Trek. And she said, hey, I know a kid who does martial arts that could be a stunt double since you're looking for one. And she actually recommended him.
That's interesting. I'm just curious,
Very cool.
I'm just curious, so you heard about it, you got referenced from somebody else, and he went into, when he went into audition, I mean, did he have to kick somebody's ass? How did they audition for that?
They just had him do a few, routines, karate routines. They watched him. Then they kind of said, okay, how about, let me show you a fight choreography, and they had him do it and see how fast he can learn it. They liked his moves, and so they hired him.
I'm just laughing. Absolutely no offense to your son Evan. I'm just laughing because I'm thinking back. Of course, they could have cut a lot of the actual editing, on the cutting room floor. But I think about the scene when he's in there punching the crap out of that kid, and I'm thinking, so if this is his stunt double, what did he have to do to qualify for them to go, you're the guy? It looked like him, and he could punch somebody. I mean, I'm just I don't know if there's a lot of stuff left on the cutting room floor. It's just interesting to me. I don't know.
It was a fun thing to watch. And yeah, we had to sign a lot of papers, a lot of NDAs. And my son, being that young, I was a terrible geek mom because he knew nothing about Star Trek.
I was going to say, you're a geek mom and you got your son. When did you know that what he was about to do was Star Trek?
After they hired him.
Really?
Yeah, I really didn't know during the audition phase. It was oh, there's a possibility to do a film. Come on in, audition, and if they like you, you'll get hired.
So he was did he even know about Star Trek at this point?
Not at all. I think he was just surprised that they had to do the whole eyebrow thing. And I'm like, go for it. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Is his dad a Star Trek fan too?
If you look at my my little bio, it says caffeine-dependent life form living a nerd-filled life within a non-nerd family. And it is so true. None of my family members are nerds.
That is so funny.
We feel your pain.
I interviewed Stan Lee. True story. I interviewed Stan Lee, and I'm all excited at the house, and I'm screaming, I'm interviewing, I can't believe it. Their response was, isn't he the host of... Yeah, no, isn't he the host of that show, Superheroes?
Oh my
Mike,
goodness.
what were you going to say?
Exactly. I was like, Palm Picard. I mean, seriously.
Mike, what were you going to ask her?
Oh, I just said, who? as that was their response, but they had some reference to Stanley at least superheroes.
Well,
I know.
At least the question wasn't, oh, you mean that guy who made that Harpies movie on the Sci-Fi Channel?
I don't even you should have seen my heart drop when I said I'm going to interview Brett Spiner. Which one is him? On Star Trek The Next Generation. Does he play the robot?
They were close. Hey, that's a positive.
Close is better than nothing.
That's
Yes.
even closer.
You're that close. You're coming to the dark side.
Oh my
It's not
god.
the dark side. It's the beige side.
Oh my.
It's neither light nor dark. It's somewhere in the middle.
So this is funny. So, sorry, I had to burp, and I just wanted to make sure I wasn't on mic when I did it.
Yet you describe
Janice,
it to us in detail.
Why not? Are we being critiqued?
Yes, you are. You're also being graded on your performance.
Edit.
You were saying.
Anyways, yes. Sorry, Ross is my squirrel. So Janet, what I was going to say was that your son. Okay, so as far as the process of, I'm sorry, I didn't expect to want to get into this too much, but I find it fascinating, the whole thing, because I have a 25-year-old daughter. Okay, so I'm thinking back to like when she was little. If I was I mean, you happen to live in the West Coast, in that area where you have opportunities to get into the situation where you might have a child that could, try out for a role on a movie, right? So I just find it fascinating to as a parent to say, how would I know what do I say to my child? You should do this. You, as a parent, you know that the money's, being offered, but it's for the child as a role. You know what I mean? So he's the one acting. You're the one getting the paycheck, or you guys have I don't know how that works, but you guys have to decide, and then he has to decide. Okay, Mom, I'll play Spock, and he doesn't even know who the hell you're talking about. I just find the whole thing fascinating. So, as a child actor's mom, how does that process go? I mean, do they have to? I mean, I don't know how much you're allowed to say or how much you're willing to say. But,
End your question. Let her talk.
Okay, so my question is, when it all comes down to the wire, okay, if he said, no, I don't want to do this, does everybody go, no problem?
If he says, no, I don't want to do this, then no, he doesn't do it. I mean, that's the one thing for my short time with this whole entertainment business, is that there's a lot of kids that the parents are living through them. And my kids, if they don't want to do it, they didn't do it. My son didn't want to do it after a while, and so it's like, okay, fine. We're not doing it. Because if they're not...
Good answer.
Good on you.
Ones, yeah, they're the ones. Of course...
You don't want a Corey Haim situation, right?
And then as for the money, it's like all his money, actually, I opened an account, and all that money was in his name. All went into a bank account with his name, and I didn't touch it. He didn't even know a lot about it for the longest time, and would also, complain like, well, I made this money. Why can't I get like an X? Not knowing that I was saving it all for his college.
I completely believe you.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Believe you, Janice, because I believe you're an honorable woman. I've known you for a few years now, and I think that Evan is the beneficiary of a good mom. That's just my opinion. I'm not just saying that because you're the guest. I wouldn't even have you on.
Yes, he is.
Go ahead.
May I ask? What are his college plans? He's 18. You said that he's 18 now, right?
Yeah.
So what are his plans for college? I'm just curious.
He's actually studying to be an aerospace engineer, and
nice.
Working
Very
as
cool.
an internship for a startup 3D rocket engine company.
Awesome. That is so cool.
Now,
Congratulations
here's the
to
thing.
him.
You say you live in a non-geek family, but that is a geeky thing to be going into.
Yeah, right?
Okay, I had some influences, like aerospace, Virgin Airlines, they're building rockets into, you can be in there.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Designing
Right
the next Orion.
Totally
Well,
agree.
let's not go there. That's the Japanese side of things, okay?
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying, son, but anyways, so Janet, wow. So Evan is 18 now. Now, since he did Spock, has he come to appreciate? Have you? Excuse me, I burped I burped in the middle of this recording, so if I will edit. Oh my God! Sorry, guys. Anyway, I'll edit this out. No, I won't. I'll just leave it. Screw it. It's not like it's a PC podcast. Anyways, does Evan has he become aware of the role he played as Spock since he was first doing that?
I actually don't know. I do know, like, his friends, who are big fans, they'll go, you were in it, and they gush and gush, and he's basically so low-keyed about it, I really don't know.
I don't know how I would react as a parent. It's one thing to get ex-girlfriends and ex-wives, and I've had many, to understand Star Trek and get them into it, but a child, the closest I could get was my daughter did a lot of Doctor Who videos, and she gets like more hits on her site than I've ever had in my life. She gets like over 300,000. So I'm just saying. But the point I'm trying to make is that as a parent, I can't even imagine like trying to tell your child, by the way, do you know what you just did? And they're like, yeah, I shaved my eyebrows and I put on a. By the way, was that a wig or did he get a bowl cut?
He actually got a bowl cut. They cut his hair.
Really?
They shaved his eyebrows and cut his hair. I was just thankful it was during Christmas break.
He got a bowl cut? Seriously.
It was during Christmas break, so he went back to school looking like that, huh?
Wow.
Well, it grew out a little by that time, because it was during break, so he didn't have to go to school. But by
wait. How old was he in 2009?
He was about he
User
was about
disconnected
10.
from your channel.
So he was 10 years old. He went back to school with a bowl cut.
Yep.
That's
pretty good.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Janice, what else can you tell us about what you do?
Basically, I'm an editor for the site. I assign, I have writers underneath me who I assign stories to. I edit the content. I also go out and to screenings, do celebrity interviews, red carpet interviews, some fun stuff.
And
Janice,
speaking of
ahead,
screenings, you just got back from a rather significant one, right?
Right.
Oh, I can't wait. I've been hoping we'd be talking about this.
I was about to say that, but Ross is my, yeah. So, go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. Went to see Star Trek Beyond last night. I can't tell you much about it because it's under embargo.
You're allowed to react to it, right?
I can tell you my reaction, and all I can say is it is the movie that Trekkies have been longing for ever since the reboot came.
So my question is this.
That is so good to hear.
Yes, indeed.
Go ahead, Mike. Mike,
I said my piece.
All right,
while Mike is something of an exception, most of our friends at the GNC show have been very critical of the reboot movies. So I'm very glad to hear the positive reception, both from you and from several other sources so far.
But in fairness to that, up until now, it was justified. But from the moment they started showing the trailers from Beyond, you could. I did it again. Sorry, guys.
Just move past it.
All right.
So
you guys. So what I'm trying to say is, from Beyond, they have sort of moved past the JJ element. They have sort of defined themselves as an alternate timeline.
So what else can you tell us?
Right.
Lots and lots of nods. Lots and lots of nods. It's a film that a true fan is going to really just embrace. And even if you're not a full Trekkie, you're just like someone who wants to go to see a movie, it is awesome on its own. And I'm like with one of you guys, like before I saw the movie, I was a little hesitant because the trailers, every time I saw it, to me it was Furious in Outer Space.
Right. Well, let me ask you this.
So what you're saying is not all the action takes place in outer space.
Well, it's not all action like the trailers make you believe. There's a lot.
Let me ask you this. I have to ask. I'm sorry. And you don't have to answer this question if Paramount, because Janice told me about an hour or two before we
Ask
aired,
the question, George.
she had to get permission from Paramount. So, anyways, Janice, I'm going to ask you, this new Jayla, the new character, I've been fascinated by her. Okay, the actress Sophia something or other, I don't know her, but the character looks so, I don't know, sexy. So there's something about her that fascinates me. And her race, and I want to know, is she significant? Like by the end of the movie, do we care enough about her that she might return?
The actress's name is Sophia Boutella.
Yep.
Wonderful. She is awesome in this film. But she returns. I'm not spoiling anything by saying she is an ally to the Enterprise crew because that's been
that's obvious from the trailers.
Yeah. So other than that,
I'm hoping her and Kirk, know what I'm saying.
Does Dr. Marcus make a reappearance in this? I haven't seen anything with her.
I was hoping she would. Yeah.
No, I can say that she doesn't make an appearance.
Well, that's sad. They built her up, and then she was on the ship at the end of Into Darkness. Just kind of disappeared.
Remember, they did say she's coming. The series, this universe is coming back for a fourth movie. That was linked earlier by me, so it's always possible.
Well, this Beyond takes place almost 3 years after that last movie.
Really?
So they're well into the 5-year mission.
Correct. They're well into the 5-year mission.
I'm a follower of the IDW comics, so I've been keeping up, at least for the most part, on the story going so far. Can you tell me if there's any nods to the comics that you know of?
Now I don't know if that's like within the review spectrum. So I really don't want to get in trouble with Paramount. I can just tell you my reaction.
No problem.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I understand.
You had mentioned some of the. You had mentioned that there's a lot of callbacks or Easter eggs. One of the issues that I had with Into Darkness was that some of the callbacks and Easter eggs and that it was just so heavy-handed. Are these a little more subtle, or are they also very heavy-handed? These.
Simon co-wrote the script, Simon Pegg, and he does an excellent job of balancing. It was great where there's some that are really obvious, some that only really true Trekkies would know. Like, that was a reference from the original series, season 1, episode 13, for example. That kind of.
Okay.
Awesome.
Right on. Thank you.
So, and Simon Pegg is a great writer. So I mean, if people forget, sometimes the people that are involved are also like multitasking. Like Simon Pegg plays Scotty, but yet he also is a great writer. So I mean, when he jumped on to sort of, I don't want to say take over, but helped when they had some problems with Beyond. It helped. I guess it did end up helping, from what I've heard. Right?
I didn't get a chance to ask him how much of Orsi's original script was kept, but I can say that he and Doug, who co-wrote it with him, watched a whole bunch of Star Trek. That was the thing, is that they would get together, write, and then as a reward, they would watch episodes of Star Trek to help them as they wrote the script.
That's awesome.
And Janice, we talked about this last episode, but I'm just going to ask your quick opinion. What do you personally think? Because you've seen the movie, and I don't want you to spoil it, but just based on the posted, stuff, what is your opinion about the Sulu is gay thing? What's your opinion about that?
Honestly, it's such a non-issue to me. I mean, I hate to make it so nonchalant.
No, just tell us how you feel.
It is. The way I feel it is such a non-issue. I don't know why the big deal is, to be very honest. To me, this is an alternate universe. I understand. I totally understand George Takei's, opinion. This is Sulu. This is the way we had it. Messing with my character, kind of thing. I totally get that. But to have them put it in Star Trek Beyond, considering that it's not really the same Sulu because it's the Kelvin universe.
Right. Good call. Good call. You've been on your mark, my girl.
Thank you. But no, seriously, this is an alternate universe. This is another Sulu. It's not the same one. So to make this character gay, to me, is just a non-issue.
Very good. Very good. I'm just curious.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Okay. Since you've seen it once already, how likely are you wanting to see it again? I think this is an important question for any Star Trek fan. So, would you want to see this film again?
I want to see it on opening night again.
Opening night again?
That's pretty good praise.
Yeah. I would see it again just to catch all the Easter eggs I didn't catch the first time around. It's that good.
Did your audience clap? I have to ask that, because when I go to a good movie, in my experience, when I go to a good movie, whether it's like the last Star Wars movie, Force Awakens, I kind of judge the audience a little bit more, as much as I judge the film. Did your audience? It's okay if they didn't. It doesn't mean the movie sucked. But I'm curious. Did your audience clap?
I think half of them clap, but then you also have to understand this is an audience filled with critics.
No, that's true. Good point.
I think
And
I think the biggest thing for me is the question I want to ask. I know you won't be able to answer.
Maybe. Let's see.
The the whole release that we have a gay Sulu in this brings me to a point that I really, really hate in Hollywood films, and that is we need a really huge tragedy to overcome this thing, and since they'd already said that somebody dies in Beyond, my thought was, oh well, now we know Sulu's going to die. Did that really happen in the movie?
Oh, she's not going to be able to answer that, but okay. Go ahead, Janice. Answer it to the best of your ability.
Okay, wait, you're asking me if Sulu's gonna die?
That's
Yes.
why I said answer it to the best of your ability.
Let me put it this way. Paramount's thinking of making Star Trek 4, and they're actually working on a script, so you tell me.
I will tell you guys one thing.
As far as I've heard, the only people that have actually signed on for the next film are Quinto and Pine.
I did see that report as well that the next one is being made.
Yes.
I know for a fact that there's a 1701A, and the reason why is when they did that big trailer reactions press thing, they put down a plaque which showed Star Trek, the Enterprise 1701A. So we know there's going to be another Enterprise, and Janice doesn't.
There's always going to be another Enterprise.
Exactly, but in the
They will
JJ,
never die.
In the Kelvin universe or whatever. So we know the ship is going to... As soon as we saw the ship get blown up in the trailer, every fan may as well have just said, well, duh, there's going to be another Enterprise. I mean, come on. So that's not even an issue.
Hey, it took an entire movie during the original group.
So
you have to remember, they were actually building the original Enterprise on freaking Earth in the first one.
Oh, all right, for the right, son, you're right, for the Kelvin. But there's so much backstory for the reason why they did it, because the Romulan, the whole Nero ship thing. Like, what the hell are these guys capable of? Kind of thing. There's so much back lore, and so there's a lot of reason why the purists. I want to call us purists. It's almost like a Puritan Star Trek people are going to complain. Now, with the whole J.J. Kelvin timeline, the thing is you have to suspend your disbelief. You have to decide. I remember, my dad died very shortly after the original Star Trek J.J. film. In 2009. He died in 2011. And so I remember going to the movies with him and watching it, and he loved it, and I did too. And then I remember going online and everybody hating the crap out of this movie, and I was very disappointed because I was like, why are you guys hating on this movie so much? Mainly because my dad loved it, so it was a sort of an emotional thing for me. So when I look back now in hindsight, I'm trying to find reasons why we should give it a pass, I guess, for the haters. What would you guys say? Anybody who wants to chime in first, Janice, Mike, anybody. What would you argue is the good reasons, the positive reasons to give the JJ universe a pass?
The episode from The Next Generation parallels.
Good argument. Anybody else?
Because it has brought in an entire new generation of fans who had passed off on Star Trek before as, that's a parent show. I don't care about that.
Freaking good argument.
Those are too good. I feel like I'm on Family Feud and I'm gonna get an X on my answer.
No.
There are no wrong answers.
There are no wrong answers, yes.
I would actually put it down to look at how many times. For example, Doctor Who, you've changed over and over and over again, and it hasn't hurt the franchise.
Good analogy.
Or James Bond.
Yes.
Power Rangers.
I don't know about Power Rangers.
It's still running, George. You can't argue that it is still running today.
It is still running, but Disney kind of ran it into the ground until.
I'm sorry,
went,
I'm gonna argue
now.
the Power Rangers thing, but other than that, yay!
Hey, they're making a movie of Power Rangers.
Yeah, and the movie's coming soon.
I think the Doctor Who analogy is actually a lot better, considering when you transfer from doctor to doctor, you got this, you have this huge group of the fandom that loves the previous doctor, and they're getting a new doctor, and there's all this hate and vitriol that comes out, and it's like, whoa, 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 give Peter Capaldi a chance. I mean,
And
I
it's
at
gone
least
in
want
2
him to say
years.
the F word once.
I hear what you're saying, Mike. I know that you only have a little bit more time before you have to check out. Is there anything you want to talk about or offer to this discussion as far as your opinion?
Well, there's a lot I can criticize about the previous two JJ films, but there's also quite a bit that is good, is interesting. I mean, the whole idea that it's a parallel universe or alternate timeline, or however way you wish to describe it, the Kelvin universe as, but it does open up an opportunity to look at what has come before in the Prime universe in a new light or under new circumstances, but it also opens up opportunities to tell new and different stories. And I think up to this point, especially with Into Darkness, that was one of the biggest failures that they had, is they, instead of trying to tell a new and fresh story, they rehashed essentially what was a couple of movies, and I found that very disappointing. Now, I'm very optimistic about what I've been hearing about this and what I've seen with this new film, and I think this is going to be the film that brings everyone, or not everyone, because there are going to always be haters, but this is going to be a film that's going to appeal to new fans, old fans. I'm hoping it will be a catalyst to kind of sort of heal or bring the fandom back together again.
There's definitely been a lot of strides being made in that direction. First, giving it the universe an official name, so people can stop using the derogatory JJ verse. And the licensing. I'm seeing a huge uptick in Kelvin Universe licensing, including its inclusion into Star Trek Online. I think that's going to go a long way to kind of easing the divide.
Agreed.
Well, that is certainly hard, but I believe it's what a lot of the reviews that I've seen is it's very TOS esque, and I think that is what's going to appeal, especially to the older fans. That I think that the story is really what's going to matter to the most people, and it's a good story, and it does hold the values of Star Trek, and I think a lot of people are going to come together around it, and that's what I'm hoping for.
You're about to say, Janice?
And I was going to say, that's a really, really good analysis. That's the perfect way to describe this movie.
Janice, my question to you is this. If you, on an emotional level, because everybody can review a show, or be, in your case, be embargoed, right, by Paramount, to not say something. So emotionally, okay, do you feel like this movie hit the right marks? Do you feel satisfied? I think you're allowed to say that, right? Did it satisfy you?
Yeah, I can say that. It definitely satisfied me. There's a few scenes that I was like, oh, just when it's kind of like when you see a picture, and it reminds you of like a long time ago, some really good feelings, and you're like, oh, and that will really do it for you.
I was kind of concerned that was like an why did they go there? No. But okay, so a pleasant I was just wanting clarification there for a moment.
Look,
I
honestly think this is the first time I've ever heard Star Trek and Satisfied mentioned in that particular way, and it's gotten me thinking it's something completely different.
I know where you're going there, and you're welcome to come on to my podcast more often.
Oh boy.
Let me say it is.
Don't get curved, George.
Anyway.
You got to remember, this is the 50th anniversary, okay?
Exactly.
So this movie has to be above and beyond. Haha, see what I did?
Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
I saw where you went there.
Well done, well done. So you attend screenings for other films as well. What other screenings have you attended recently that that you care to comment on?
That I care to comment on?
Oh, come on, Janice. Don't hold back.
I actually saw Ghostbusters. That was
What-
kind of cool.
Oh!
Did you enjoy it?
On its own, yeah. But if you're comparing
You don't have to spoil it to ruin your embargo thing you got going on with the whole press thing. But I have to admit, I want to see that movie. You can just say yay or nay.
if you're a die-hard original Ghostbuster fan,
No. Yay or nay. I'm gonna push you. I'm gonna push you.
I have to say, if you're a die-hard, nay. How's this?
No. You don't have to.
Did you hear?
Come on.
Have you heard the remake of the theme song by Fall Out Boy? I think it's
Yes.
Fall Out Boy. Okay.
Yes.
How you feel about that song will make you feel about the movie.
I love the new song. To be honest
It's
with you.
cheesy and 80s and just with a boy band. So
And I disagree with you. I've been re-listening to the song all day for like at least 8 hours. I'm just saying. I actually love it.
I'm not arguing the point. My point is the whole point of the original Ghostbusters is that it was a typical 80s sci-fi kind of cheese fest, and we're getting the same thing out of this new movie. It's just pretty much
George, did
gender-
you just say you were listening to the theme song of Ghostbusters for 8 hours straight?
Yep.
I introduced my nephews. They are 5 and 7 to Ghostbusters a couple years ago, and they have periodically asked me to see it again. And now that the new film is on the verge of being released in our neck of the woods, they have been asking to watch the old the first two over and over and over again. Over the last week, I've seen it at least 3 times.
Oh boy!
So there is an excitement for young fans over what is coming, and there is an excitement or some love for what has come before. And I don't think either one is wrong.
Agreed.
In my
they both
personal opinion,
are great.
I don't think that more of the same is a bad thing. If more of the same is good, then that means more good. You don't have to change everything just to appeal to a different audience or to try and be different. If your formula works and it will continue to work, continue doing it. You don't have to change it just for the sake of changing.
Agreed. And my thing is this, that the original Ghostbusters is one of those things that inspired me to do a lot of fan stuff. I've linked you and Ross and a few other people some stuff.
You have.
I know. But the thing is, I was a huge Ghostbusters fan. In fact, I would call myself a fanatic. So there's fan and there's fanatic. I'm the latter. So the thing is, though, that you can do a parody, you can do a remake, you can do whatever. But if you do it, let it be, funny. If it's a remake of a comedy, it has to be funny. If it's not, you have no reason to even do it. And from everything I've seen and from everything I've heard, and Janice, you've seen it, so you can obviously pop in here on your opinion. I've heard it's really good. So, from what I've heard, the marketing department sucked. They made the trailers horribly, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, this is horrible! It's a feminist thing."
Here's a simple question.
I keep
Is it
hearing
funny?
it's really good. Yeah, I keep hearing it's really good. And so, Janice, what is your opinion?
It's funny. It has funny portions, and it's one of those that I was so happy that not all the jokes were in the trailer. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's good. That's very good.
No.
Right on.
Well, yeah, that's good. But so you're saying it's worth watching?
I would, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would put it a 6.
That's good enough.
Okay, films are okay.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
a cheese
I'm sorry.
sandwich without the tomato soup.
I'm
Well,
sorry
there's
to interrupt, but I
Chris
do have to
Hemsworth.
go.
Thanks for joining us,
Mike.
Mike.
Pleasure, everyone. Janice, it's been great actually hearing your voice and talking to you. So thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Mike, thank you very much for joining us. Seriously.
Bye, Mike.
Mike.
Yeah,
User
so
disconnected from your
Janice,
channel.
now that I know that you've seen Ghostbusters, which does not surprise me, by the way, because obviously the film comes out tomorrow for the main public. I mean, I could go see it if I really wanted to. But come on, I mean, I keep hearing the film's funnier than people expected, right? So the trailers, the promotional marketing thing was where they failed. What's your opinion on that?
I think the marketing could be better. Or I mean, that's a definite. I don't know. Like I said, because maybe it's because I came in with expectations, and it's one of those where if you come in with not a lot of expectations and take the movie as it is, it's a really good movie. But if you come in with, okay, this is kind of like the old one, oh, they took that off the old one, then you're not going to enjoy it as much.
Okay, so, but let me ask you this. So,
I like Chris Hemsworth.
Who? Chris?
I like Chris
yeah.
Of course you do.
Of course you do. You know, that's like me saying if it was a reverse, Angelina Jolie is the star, you know, blah, 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 or whatever.
Hey, I used to have a bit of a childhood crush on Janine.
On who? Oh, yeah, I did too.
The secretary.
Yeah, I did too.
Annie Potts, yeah.
Annie Potts, yeah.
You gotta love that New Yorker accent. It was quite interesting for a boy of my age at the time.
I also heard that there's a lot of cameos from Bill Murray. See, the biggest complaint I heard was that that the cameos were just too forced. So we had Bill Murray's especially, Annie Potts cameo, Ernie Hudson. What's your opinion on that, Janice?
You know, like I said, I mean, I'm trying to figure out how do I say this without like breaking anything.
Yeah, just say how you feel, baby.
Like that, you know what? It's one. Like I said, it's just one of those. I know I have one writer who absolutely loves the movie, and I particularly don't think it's absolutely lovable. But I would go if I had nothing better to do. I'd go see it. I would spend money.
The movie comes out tomorrow. Come on, you're not going to get in trouble.
I would wait a couple days and see it. Star Trek Beyond, I would see it like when it opens. This one, I could wait a couple days.
So for sciencefiction.com, you cover more than just movies, correct?
Yes.
So do you cover games as well?
We actually, I think right now we have one of our writers who is live streaming tabletop games. What they do is every Thursday we do a live streaming with Game Tyrant, and they do one or two tabletop games. They play it, and then the next day we write it up and give you our review of that game.
Oh, that is awesome. I'm going to check that out. I plan on doing something similar with LLP.
It's actually pretty fun.
As for games, are you part of the Pokemon Go craze?
Yes, and I'm really upset because I need more Pokemon balls, and I don't have time to go walking around with Pokestops.
Let me tell you a little secret. That's something that my girlfriend and I did yesterday. We got on a bus and took a little ride. And I live in Southern California in Chula Vista, and downtown Chula Vista, or along the bus route, there were at least 15 Pokestops, and we hit almost all of them.
Pokestops, really?
No, this is what's frustrating. I had I think 6 Pokeballs, and I was up at Costco getting gas, and a Pikachu came. It was like 130 something CP, and I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta get it. Ran out of Pokeballs, and I was like so angry.
Oh, I bet. Now, George, you don't sound like a fan.
Oh my.
Before you get into it, son, what's your opinion?
Of Ghostbusters?
No,
Pokemon.
Pokemon Go.
Well, it's actually rather interesting to. I've said this before. It's fascinating to watch all the naysayers on Facebook naysay, but at the same time, never more have we ever been so connected as a world because of the technology, and yet so isolated from each other.
That's a
because
great
of
analogy.
the technology. And yet here is this thing that since the 90s, a big swath of the population of the world has been in love with, and now they have a fulfillment of that. And it's not just those people, it's eking out to everybody. And at this time of us being ever more connected, there is this game that is also physically connecting us at the same time.
Oh my god, that is so relevant, yet it's a little creepy at the same time.
All right, George, what's your thought?
Well, my thought is that I go to work, okay, and I see this guy, and he will sit there on his phone. He'll go, he'll click it, and he'll sit there and go, "Oh, I have to update my Pokemon Go," and I don't know. It just to me it seems like they're going to basically destroy the world. I don't know.
You don't sound like you really know what you're talking about.
Well, I don't like Pokemon. See, here's the thing. I grew up in a generation before. Janice, you're about my age. You might be a few years older than me. Son, you maybe you too. Ross, whatever. But Pokemon's like in my generation, it didn't even exist. Okay, so when people are going crazy for Pokemon, I'm like, okay, who the hell cares? You know what I mean?
A whole lot of people.
Well, yeah, you say that, but from my point of view, it's like, okay, it's like a few people, and they're
Let
all
me
like,
see if I can put this into perspective for you.
Go ahead.
You know a lot of people who have Android devices, correct?
I know a lot of people who aren't under the age of 30.
Please answer. You know a lot of people with Android devices, yes?
Yes.
And there are millions upon millions of people who use Android devices.
Okay, yeah.
2% of all Android devices have Twitter. About 2% of all Android devices have Tinder. Do you know what Tinder is?
Yeah, I've Googled it.
Son and Janice, you guys know Tinder, right?
Most deaf.
Well, although I'm not really all that clear on the rapper / musician Mos Def, I do know what Tinder and Grindr and Blizzard
She said
are.
most deaf.
I don't know about Grindr, but just think about how many people in the country, or the world, that use Tinder. That's a lot of people, right?
Yeah, but Janice
Right.
like most deaf. That to me says, hey, there you go.
Now,
Okay.
Pokemon Go has currently exceeded the amount of users that already use Tinder. There are more people in the country that use Pokemon Go than Tinder.
And it's
Okay.
not even been out for like what, a month? Not even a month.
Not even
It's been
3
out a
weeks.
week. It's been out
Yeah.
weeks. And it has exceeded Tinder and is on its way to exceed Twitter.
George is just the Wesley Crusher of that episode on Star Trek: The Next Generation, the game where everyone's playing that game that Riker brings back.
You know what?
Where
So
he's
many
like,
people
that's
have.
George. He's watching
No.
everybody play the game.
So many, Janice. So many people have not twitted. They Facebooked that. You know what I'm saying, son? They twitted. They Facebooked. They just. All right. So I'm just gonna say they shared that example. So,
I'm one of the people that shared that, George.
oh my god, it's so funny.
Look,
So am I.
if George is the Wesley Crusher running from the game, I've been the Data who's been shut off.
And I need a rainbow. I need a rainbow
I
sweater.
like that. I
need a rainbow sweater, people.
Does that mean you eventually get stabbed in the back?
Yep.
And you ascend and become a being existing on a higher plane of existence and get...
The Traveler.
Anyway, it's
Well,
amazing how
it's interesting to
huge...
think-
Go ahead, son.
It's interesting to think of the crossing the genres, to think that Wesley Crusher is the Star Trek version of the Ascended Daniel from SG-1.
But as Son said before, it's amazing how connected people have become through this game. Just the amount of people who are coming together and interacting in ways that they haven't before because of a very simple title that a lot of people simply pass off as being, oh, that's a children's thing.
Well, here's my thing. Is like you can do what you want to do, and if the kids don't like it, fuck them.
All I'm saying is, don't knock it until you at least try to understand it.
Well, I was actually reading an article on this the other day, and it's not just that. It is amazing to see, these people who've been considered socially recluse and shut-ins for a good portion of their life because they don't deal with people well. And these people are out and about in their neighborhoods and actually chatting with actual people and socially engaging with people and going to people to places because of this game.
Anthony, do you, by any chance, I don't know if you can answer.
Anthony's not here.
Oh yeah, that's right. He wasn't feeling good. I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Janice, so how many people you work with have kind of gotten in on this craze?
I really haven't asked how many of my staff. I'm pretty sure it's the majority. I think we have like about 12 writers. I wouldn't be surprised if all 12 of them were doing it.
I went out on. My girlfriend and I were actually going out on an errand yesterday, and as I mentioned, we took the bus, and I must have caught at least 12 to 20 Pokemon just riding the bus.
Well, damn.
I gotta figure out what to do when you get to a gym. That's what I'm afraid to go
when you
into
get
a
to
gym right now.
You get your butt beat pretty bad by very, very high level Pokemon.
This is funny.
A gym,
That's
George,
funny,
is where you battle with other players.
I know what a gym is, buddy. But yeah.
I'm not your buddy, pal.
Yeah.
Shall we move on then?
Well.
So, what team are you on?
I chose Mystic.
Can I choose Team Mewtwo so I can blow all you people away like the Giovanni gym? It's like I've seen all of that back and forth, just nonsensical crap from all the different teams, and then I saw the Team Lugia, Team Harmony, whatever, and it's like, I don't really care about that crap. Can I not just go out and catch Pokemon?
I really don't understand that kind of rivalry. I don't get it. The choices are arbitrary. There's literally no difference between the team except one is yellow, one is red, and one is blue. They have a different mission statement, but other than that, it's completely arbitrary.
Well, you feel.
Well, it's the three legendary birds from the original game. Zapdos, Moltres, Articuno.
All right, sorry, Jan.
If you're really desperate, I think BuzzFeed put up a quiz for you to figure out which team you should be on.
So
I'm not that desperate because I don't play the game.
I'm going to quickly ask Ross, because he's been talking about this since our last episode, where we reviewed Star Trek Online, Agents of Yesterday, and we talked about our viewers, talked about our opinions about the episode. I know, Janice, that you don't play Star Trek Online, so hang in there while we just quickly kind of gloss over this. I'm curious, Ross. You wanted to pipe in about your opinion because you heard me and Anthony and not Ross because you weren't there.
Yes, I did hear it at length, ad nauseum. Geez, if you don't like the game, okay, let the people who enjoy it, instead of screaming about how much you dislike it for over half an hour.
Right.
So I enjoyed the game. I can suspend disbelief and get over a simple engine and actually enjoy the story and experience of the game. And I think Agents of Yesterday delivers on that. You start out as a TOS captain if you want to start a new character. If you don't, okay. There's still a butt ton of content out there. And appreciate how much content has been added. A ton of new ships, which takes 6 months at least individually to build. Plus all the interior maps. All of the new space maps, an entire new sector map, plus costumes, effects, sound effects, all sorts of things that have been inputted in the game and took months and months and months of effort to put in. Respect that.
Understood. See, that's how you really feel.
That is how I really feel. I really enjoyed Agents of Yesterday. I'm looking forward to continue to experience it, as well as the content that is going to be released post-expansion, leading up towards the next update, probably in around 3 to 4 months.
Awesome. And like I said,
that everyone that bought the packs are funding going forward.
Cool. And like I said, I know that Janice doesn't play Star Trek Online, although she reports amazing news. Son, you play Star Trek Online. Oh, I will say this. So since I talked about this last week, I have to agree that the game's not as bad as I thought. Okay, so I'm not saying this to cop out. I'm just saying that my opinion has, I guess, slightly modified because of the fact that I played a couple more missions, and I don't think it's as bad as I thought. I think that it could improve, but it's not as bad as people have been saying. I don't know what else to say about that.
If you were expecting an entire 1 to 60 experience as a TOS captain, yes, you'll be disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. My thing is that as a game player and as a Star Trek lover, it's sort of you have to sort of toggle whether you agree with the game is good as a storytelling thing or as a gameplay experience. And it's hard because I've always loved Star Trek Online as far as the Cryptic's attempt to make this game something we all can enjoy, and I appreciate that. I've been with the game since 2009, but when it comes to the actual experience,
they're doing the best they can with what they have.
I agree. I love what they did. You're right. I'm just saying that, like, my appreciation is a little bit tainted, but at the same time, I hate saying something bad about it. I hate it. I feel like, okay, so if we had a child that had a bad experience, and we had to review her, and I had to say something like, "Oh, am I being completely honest?" That's where I'm at right now. It's like, I don't want to say something shitty.
You stated your opinion in the last episode.
I know, but it sucks because I love the company and I love what they're trying to do. But it's just like...
Then appreciate it for what it is.
Actually, I agree with you.
But that is both something we can and can't do. As Star Trek fans, we critique something Star Trek not out of a reason to hate it, but out of a want to see it succeed and want to say, here, this is a problem, see if you can fix it.
Yeah, you know what, son? That's a very, very accurate description.
That's why I've pushed so hard like I do about there not being extra Romulan content or extra Klingon content. Yeah, sure, the player base for those factions might be minuscule compared to the Federation, but that's no reason to push them aside and only sell them ships.
See, that's been my entire problem. I love the franchise.
Well, that's why most of the content that comes out is cross-faction. All 3 factions play it.
Yeah, but you said that, and when it sounds... No offense, buddy, because you're my buddy, but when you say it, it sounds kind of, like you're kissing their ass, you know what I'm saying?
If that's what you want to think, then go right ahead. You're entitled
No,
to it.
I'm just saying it sounds like that. I'm not saying it is the fact. I'm just saying.
Looking on the bright side is kissing ass?
Yep.
Then call me an ass kisser. Ass
kisser. Ass kisser, Ross, what do you think?
I think we should move along.
I'm joking. Alright, buddy. Alright, so... Anyways, I think we've reached the end of the show.
We've got plenty other topics, George.
Oh,
and
I'm
at least
sorry.
45 minutes.
Ross is my delegator.
In the TOS original episode, Spock's brain, George's brain will be played by Ross.
And Janice
That's
will we play it on sciencefiction.com.
So I've got a couple gaming topics I'd like to put forward. One of which, last week, an event called Summer Games Done Quick occurred. It's a week-long event where a bunch of video game speedrunners get together and raise money in this event for Doctors Without Borders. They live-streamed multiple games on YouTube, and after 7 days, they raised over $1,200,000 for Doctors Without Borders.
That is totally awesome.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It was awesome to watch. So much fun to just experience. And the room goes silent.
I thought it was my connection. It's storming here. Lol.
Their YouTube channel is Games Done Quick. That's all. They also their Facebook and Twitter. Check them out. They do regular events. They do 2 events every year, as well as put together a very large community of speedrunners that are very open, very welcoming, and always looking for new runners to continue to compete against.
That sounds cool.
It's definitely something to take a look at because, well, I mean, I have this thing about people who do the speed runs. It's
What is it?
you cheated to get to the end of the game that quick. Okay,
Yes,
now
some
do it right and do it fast.
a lot of speedrunning uses game exploits and glitches in order to either bypass certain levels or to finish the game quicker. They use what's
Right.
in the game. It's in the game's code. They don't use any mods or anything like that to do it.
Right, like for instance, The Legend of Zelda for the Nintendo 64 had several dev built-in map transitions and it was for the early stages of them testing each map. So they were able to go underneath floors to go into doors that would take them to different areas of the game at different stages. And people who are speedrunners exploit the hell out of that with this thing called the Deku stick trick that lets them like bleed through the floor. And you cheated to get to the end of the game.
Yeah, but in a lot of cases, especially with more modern games, developers watch speedrunners and actually fix some of the glitches that they find. I think Shovel Knight is a really good example. And hell, some games even embrace that kind of glitch mentality. The video game Axiom Verge is built upon, at least aesthetically, glitching the world around you in order to move forward.
There was actually a game that I really wanted to grab, but I never got a chance to. Called and it was kind of one of those indie. This is our final project of a game development school type games, like where Portal originally came from, and it was a game called, I think, Perception. So it was very much this kind of 2D platformer like thing, but at the same time changing your camera angle changed the physical landscape of the game as you were playing it. So, you had this really itty-bitty hallway-looking thing for your character, and your character was too big to fit through it. Well, if you tilted the camera a certain way, suddenly that hallway got huge, and your character got really little, and you could make your way through the hallway,
Interesting.
So I think there is definitely a genre of perception bending. No, I've never seen a game intentionally try to use glitches as a game mechanic, but that would be a first if I actually saw one.
Axiom Verge is the name of the game. Of the runs, probably the most interesting ones were there were three categories that really fascinated me. One was the high-level Tetris game. What a lot of people don't know is that there were multiple companies that got the license for Tetris. Sega's Tetris was very different in some of its mechanics, and they released 3 versions of what they call Grandmaster editions, where the game gets even harder than the NES version. And only, I think, 7 people in the world hold the ultimate Grandmaster title for Tetris. And one of those guys got it at last year's summer event called AGDQ. At one point, the blocks actually start disappearing during the roll of the credits, and they have to keep playing while these blocks are invisible.
Wow. So I'm actually looking at a thing from YouTube for Axiom Verge, and it's a very, very Metroidvania kind of game by the looks.
It is.
I might actually be into it.
I haven't tried it yet, but it looks like a lot of fun. Then there were the races, where they get 4 different speedrunners to try and complete a game and complete it faster than the others. Their showcase event is the Super Metroid Run, and they have a huge bid incentive to either abandon or save the animals that help Samus during a normal run.
Hey guys.
What's up, George?
I was just going to say, we have a big storm coming in my area, so I do have to go. If you guys want to carry on the show, that's fine. Ross just sent me the final recording. And I'm Janice. Thank you very much for joining us. If you guys want to keep talking, hey, I have no problem with that. I'm just letting you know that I have a issue locally where I'm probably going to have to shut down because of the local lightning storm.
No problem, George.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us, Janice, and thank you, Son, for joining us. But yeah, so I'm going to bow out. But if you guys want to keep talking, we'll edit this in. So thank you very much.
Later,
Thanks, George.
Love you guys.
See ya.
So, Janice, have you heard of Games Done Quick before?
Stopped recording.
No, this is all new to me, so I'm just really, really interested in listening to what it's all about.
User disconnected.
I've been watching them for about 3 years now. The Summer Games Done Quick usually happens in and around July, and Awesome Games Done Quick is usually in and around January and December.
Now, are you part of it? Do you participate in it?
I have not participated beyond donating, but I'm no speedrunner. I like Sunseal. I kind of have a personal issue about using exploits and glitches to finish something quicker, but I'm not going to keep them from doing it. But it's a really good cause, a really awesome event, and the last of the categories that really fascinated me about their runs is the blindfolded runs.
Okay, so you're going to have to explain this to people. What is a blindfold run?
Okay, so for example, the last AGDQ that I watched, a player put on a blindfold and completed Legends of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Completely. He had everything mapped out, and he was able to complete the game while he was blindfolded.
Get out.
I am not kidding. They did it again this year with I forget which game. It was another Zelda title, I think. But the skill and practice that these people, the time that these players invest in these games to do these things, it's really amazing to watch.
I really like the fact that they're doing it for charity. I
Oh,
really,
yeah.
really like that.
They've worked for Doctors Without Borders and Prevent Cancer. They've got a bunch of different sponsors, including Twitch.
That's very, very interesting.
So that's all I've got about that. You guys have any questions?
I was actually in some of this time looking up that game, and it's called Perspective.
Perspective.
So yes, it's they actually have a website called seewithperspective.com.
Interesting.
So it was a DigiPen project essentially.
Nice. So moving along, one of the other topics we had for the show. Did you guys see the release about the mini NES that Nintendo's releasing?
I saw
Okay.
that this morning.
It's cute. I mean, I saw that too, and it's pretty cute.
That is very cute. 30 NES titles in a palm-sized box that's shaped like an old Nintendo for just a little over $60. That's pretty cool.
I'm surprised Nintendo is actually jumping on this kind of Sega Genesis mini game system bandwagon thing.
I've seen boxes like it before. I'm guessing they were licensed, but I've seen them with a whole bunch of pre-installed games, including the original Super Mario. I'm wondering why it took them this long to do it.
Because it's Nintendo, and they kind of have a thing of Nintendo is the whole reason there is a seal of quality thing on Nintendo products.
That's a good point. They are very Blizzard in their quality assurance.
Well, it's not just that. From an international standpoint, Nintendo was one of the very first people to really go after copyright infringement or just people blatantly using the system to build their own games and then pass them off as Nintendo games, and that was, again, back in the old NES days.
That's true. And interestingly enough, sorry, Janice, you were about to say?
Oh no, I was just going to say, how successful do you guys really think it's going to be? It doesn't connect to the internet. It's a standalone console. You can't buy, at this time, you can't buy any more games than what's with it, that comes with it.
It's alone, not connected to anything. We're probably going to go on a trip to somebody else's house for a few days for Thanksgiving or Christmas kind of thing. That's how I see it.
It's certainly nostalgia bait more than anything else. And I've only seen the console, I haven't seen the controller, although I'm assuming it's a replica of the original NES controller. Who knows? It might be worth something. It might last a little while. And with the success of Pokemon Go, Nintendo's definitely not going to be in any kind of financial crisis anytime soon.
Well, yeah. That's. I can see this being a failure on some level, and them going, okay, so it didn't sell. Moving on.
I imagine they're expecting to sell it at a loss.
It's weird. It's weird to see stuff like this out. I mean, I go to my local dollar store and I see one for the Sega device, a Sega version of this, and I'm like, it's like, okay, that's a company that doesn't exist anymore. They're doing this thing. That's neat. It's a great way for them to pull all of their old titles and make a little nostalgia buck or two. Okay, I get that. Nintendo's currently functioning. Why would they make something like this when 90% of their stuff is already available as part of the virtual store on the Wii and the Wii U?
Well, could be an alternative for a market that they see who wants offline stuff.
But people are always wanting more and more and more. So that's what I find. It's very curious that it's only 30, and at this time you can't get any more games after you're done with them.
Are there more than 30 good NES games?
Point taken.
I don't know. What's the library look like for the NES?
It looks like an all-star lineup from the entire Mario collection, Zelda, Metroid, Castlevania, Joust.
So there's no Duck Hunt.
Imagine there's. I would hope there's Duck Hunt. You can't have an NES without a Duck Hunt.
Yeah, but see that there's no light gun.
That we've seen.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't see Duck Hunt listed as one of their games.
I mean,
well,
there's,
crap.
There's always little gems in those older consoles that people really give crap to for being game, insert your own word for whatever the hell kind of game. But those games are terribly underrated for the just pure awesomeness that surrounds them. The Mr. Game & Watch was handheld before the Game Boy, and it sold moderately well, and people kind of have this nostalgia for it, and yet at the time it was given all this flack because it's this weird thing, and yet now we have stuff where the whole thing, Mr. Game & Watch is a playable character in something like Smash Brothers.
And he's OP.
And he's a stick figure,
A powerful stick figure.
No, and it bleeds off into the whole section of the failure of the Virtual Boy. Yeah, the Virtual Boy was a marketing disaster, but some of those games were actually sort of decent.
2 of the games?
You make me sad, Virtual Boy. You were the most Klingon thing I have ever seen in my entire life, and you gave me headaches.
Stare into this for hours. Your eyes will hurt, but you will not be able to look away.
I wasn't even able to stare into it for hours. There was just so much red. It just, you can't do that with that much red.
It was a
The
pain
Klingons
stick.
would go
That's
with
what
this.
we're saying.
This is why I play an Orion in Star Trek Online. At least there's a little green in the mix.
All right, Janice, thank you for the list of games. I've got most of them. Looks like, a full all-star lineup, including, there's no Dunk Hunt, but there is Excite Bike in the original Final Fantasy.
Balloon Fight?
Balloon Fight. Bubble Bobble.
Donkey Kong?
I only had 3 NES games growing up when I had an NES. Well, technically 4. The combo Mario Duck Hunt, a game called Renegade, which was an old-style brawler, a Sesame Street licensed game, and yeah, that was it. I played the crap out of some Renegades, let me tell you.
It's interesting that people have this thing about, time where they see things, the nostalgia factor and actual time kind of diverge. So they'll see a console, like a video game console, and the games associated to it, and that time for them will be a completely separate time from actual time going on, like when they think of something else that gives them nostalgia feelings. So I say this because I want to point out that the first Toy Story game that was licensed was on the Super NES.
Oh, that was such a terrible game.
Yes, and you have to remember, the Super NES came out in the 90s, 95, 96, and so did Toy Story. So, those people who think the Super NES and Toy Story are at two completely different times are kind of mistaken, because those times existed at the exact same time. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been a Toy Story Super NES game.
Oh, memories of that game give me headaches.
I think the one thing that when I put the game down and stopped playing was I couldn't get past the race car track thing where you had to navigate the car through the room in like around all the bricks and obstacles and stuff. I just couldn't do it.
Gotta love the period of time that taught us what bad games were.
Superman 64.
Alright, moving a little along. How familiar are you guys with the current goings-on of Marvel? The comics, not the movies.
Are we going to... we're going to talk about Iron Man now?
Yes, we are.
What are they
Good.
calling? Are they calling? I mean, what are they calling her?
It's still
It's still
tentatively
yet to be
Iron Man,
determined.
because it's still the Iron Man armor. It's just there's going to be a woman inside the Iron Man armor.
The interesting thing is the way that they've presented it. She actually makes a joke during the comic saying, she'll say Iron Man, or somebody will go Iron Man, and she'll take off the helmet and go, "Yeah, I'm working on that name."
I can see it now. Have you seen pictures of her?
Yes.
I can see now she takes off the helmet and that huge fro just pops right out.
Well, I think Stark might need a little bit of help from Thor and the Asgards for the Marvel Universe equivalent of Time Lord technology, so that the hair doesn't break the helmet.
I gotta say, I like the character. Janice, have you caught up on any of this at all?
No, I'm not caught up on it, but I am aware of what's been going on with the Marvel Universe comic-wise.
Interesting character. Her name is Riri Williams. R-I-R-I. She is a 15-year-old MIT student and caught the interest of Stark while reverse engineering some of his old armor in her dorm room. She's building Iron Man armor in her dorm.
I just can't get over the fact that every time I see her name or hear her name, I think somebody's made a gender bent Rory Williams from Doctor Who.
You know that might be the case.
but Rory was a weakling.
Riri is
Says
definitely
everybody else who doesn't remember how much of a badass he was.
Yeah, the soldier, the soldier, spending eternity as a wax Roman soldier with a gun in his hand.
Mm-hmm. What was he, an Auton? I think.
I think he was a centurion.
No. That race of plastic creatures with a gun in their hand has existed in Doctor Who before, and I think they were called the Autons.
Possibly.
I think. I'm not 100% on that.
But the thing that I really, really enjoy about this idea, my biggest beef with comic books in particular is in their writing, they tend to always gravitate back towards the status quo. No matter how many times they deviate from it, they kill off a character for the shock value, they write someone's story in a certain direction, they almost always bring it back to an original status quo. Spider-Man lost Aunt May, Superman died, Batman died, Captain America died. They're all back, Aunt May's back, they reboot everything, they reset everything just to get back to a status quo, and they don't respect their characters or their story enough to really carry things on. And I like that it looks like that Tony is going to be passing the torch to Riri.
Which I think it's a nice thing to happen, especially considering, and I don't know where we are in the other non-Iron Man movies, but considering how 3 ended, yeah, I could definitely see him passing on the torch at that point in the films to her directly.
That would be cool if she replaced him in the films as well. There is that slight synchronicity between the films and the comics.
Right. And and what's going on with the Civil War thing in the comics is something people are discussing, because supposedly that's crossing over into what's supposed to be going on in the Marvel universe as well.
And that segues into the next subject, which is Civil War 2. I haven't looked too into it yet, but I know that a major event happened in the last issue. Apparently, correct me if I'm wrong, son, you've been following, correct?
I don't really follow all that comics, but I have been trying to keep up with the comic news recently. Yeah.
Same with you, Janice?
Same with me. Are you going to do the spoiler?
Yes. You need to cover your ears and say la 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 for a bit?
No, we've covered it. I was just curious if you were gonna like say something.
From what I've gained from what I've read so far, I actually need to look at the books themselves, but apparently an Inhuman is able to see the future. And he sees a future where the Hulk has destroyed the Avengers and is rampaging across the world. So the Avengers have confronted Bruce Banner to try and restrain him, but he's apparently free of the Hulk. He doesn't transform anymore. And as the argument continues, Hawkeye takes matters into his own hands and puts an arrow through Banner's eyes. Banner's dead.
Except this is where the Hulk comes out as the other side, because those two were two separate entities to begin with, and starts off the whole chain of events. So, you pulled a That's So Raven there, dude. What the hell?
I don't know about that yet. I haven't seen anything about the Hulk. As far as I know, Amadeus Cho still is the Hulk.
I don't know. I just what are we calling Dr. Manhattan now? Unhumans? What?
The Inhumans.
Inhumans. Okay.
They're pretty much being poised to replace the mutants in the Marvel universe, since the license is held by Fox.
Okay.
But that's a separate subject, and that's what we were previously talking about, is how Civil War is shaping up. It's a discussion on how this clairvoyance powers should be used. You've got Miss Marvel and her camp saying that they should actively work to prevent those visions, and then Stark, who's saying we'll use them to get prepared. We can't change what's about to happen.
No, that's the thing. Doing nothing will prevent what people see from happening. And if people actually understood that, then none of that stuff would ever happen, because they wouldn't work so hard to make it not happen and wind up making it happen in the first place. I love temporal mechanics, don't you?
Yeah, it's such a pain in the butt. But it's interesting that that's the divide they're going for the sequel to Civil War. I said it in a previous episode. I think the movie Civil War works so much better than the comic Civil War. And I'm hoping that this sequel event doesn't turn out as gray and convoluted as the last one.
I don't know. I think it's like another. I would wait until the next comic came out, because remember the whole hullabaloo when they feared Captain America was really a Hydra agent, and then it's like, oh no, not really. So I find one of these, it's going to be a bait and switch skew for this value, but hey, later on we'll reboot the whole universe again, and everybody lives again.
Yeah, that's my big annoyance with comic books to begin
God,
with.
it's the best of both worlds part 1 all over again.
Well, if this was the case, then then Hawkeye's they'd stop before the arrow got to Banner. They'd start the next issue with him rubbing his forehead, saying, "What the hell, man?"
I don't know. I don't know. If that was the whole reveal, I don't know. Most places don't do time travel crap and future prediction crap all that well.
Well, sadly, it is the tool of poor writers at times. Rick Berman.
Wow. Just calling people out there, huh?
Nah, it's an old gripe.
Okay.
Anyway,
Voyager never happened.
well, in several episodes, nothing happened because of temporal mechanics. Hey, look, big conflict. We gotta do something. All right, reset button hit. Everything's fine. Nothing ever happened. We just passed by.
That's kind of the whole point of those episodes.
It bugs me. It bugs me a lot.
It bugs quite a few people, but those people also don't understand temporal mechanics. And those people who don't understand temporal mechanics, I and get mad at episodes like these, they go, "Rah, this episode is terrible." And it's like,
it's not about temporal mechanics. It's the fact that everything that happened in that episode didn't happen.
Everything that is happening to us right now in a separate timeline is also not happening to us.
No,
That's
but it's that
temporal mechanics.
But you wasted your time watching everything not happen. That's the point.
Yes, any kind of growth, development, or change in experience that the characters had, null and void.
And I don't have temporal mechanics to go back into time to not watch it happen in the first place.
You know what my gripe was? We had that very same thing happen, and it wasn't a temporal thing. The Silverbloods from Voyager, when they were actually out in space and dying.
Oh, I hated that. I absolutely hated that.
That was a very, very gut-wrenching episode because Voyager comes by after all of that stuff and they
just
never
out
got
of reach
anything.
And no recognition whatsoever of what just happened.
It's like, well, shouldn't there have been some sort of demon blood floating off in space somewhere? Wouldn't it have just essentially turned back into Silverblood and been a lifeless thing?
And here's the biggest thing. The Silverbloods just replaced the crew. There was no duplicate Voyager.
Yes,
Where
there
did
was.
Voyager come from?
Yes, there was. Most of Voyager was bioneural circuitry. From that, they actually created a biomechanical version of Voyager, copied mimetically from cloning everybody from Voyager,
We need to stop
including the
talking.
bioneural circuitry.
Coming soon to Super Geeks. 50 for 50, the worst episodes of Star Trek.
Oh, good God, no.
No, we're not doing that.
Hey, can episode one of the worst 50 for 50 be Star Trek Axanar?
And on that
The
note,
movie that was the movie that was never made.
the movie that never was.
All right.
Let's talk more about temporal.
Whew, boy. Well, I think that'll about wrap it up for this week. Thank you so much, Janice, for coming by, staying with us, and putting up with all the shenanigans.
No, I enjoyed myself. Thank you for inviting me, you guys.
And, of course, on behalf of George, you're welcome to drop by anytime. We do this weekly, so just if you ever want to come by, just let us know.
Oh, well, definitely. I really enjoyed myself. I would love to come back on your show again.
I'm very happy to hear it.
We apologize for George. Sometime we have to lead him with the shepherd's crook, so,
Yeah.